Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. It is Solstice week here in the Cosmic Community. This is the time when the sun stops. That is what solstice, the root meanings of that word means. It's when the sun stops in its path, that highest point that it is in the sky. It's going to actually reach the highest point, the highest degree, and then, start to actually descend here after the Cancer solstice here in the north. It's the summer solstice. In the southern hemisphere, of course, they have their winter solstice, and it's backwards. But this is very creative energy. This is also a time when we can really connect with the other worlds. The veil is super thin. The veil between worlds, between dimensions, between nature and sort of this human world that we have and all of the nature spirit worlds that exist out there. So a time when, people would really tune in with the natural environment. And of course, it's the day when we have the longest day of the year, the most sun. And so we get out and we truly enjoy that. And we use that. We use the extra light to bring more illumination into our own personal life. We use the extra sun to, of course, get out and do more traditionally. It's a time when we can be super active and really get a lot done because there is so much time in the day, pre all the time. I'm talking about, pre-electricity, really, now we can create sunlight, quote unquote. I'm making the quotes here in the studio. We can create sunlight right now. And so you have a world pre-electricity where you depend on the sunlight. And that is where you really utilize this extra time in the day to get things done, but also to go into these thinly veiled worlds, to go into these states. You can kind of create these altered states, where you can really travel between worlds. So it's a really interesting time and an interesting energy to use. The sun moves into Cancer on June 21st here on the West Coast at 7:58 a.m. That's tomorrow. And so in the very morning times, we will feel a shift and we'll have the new energy of the sun in Cancer. Cancer is really the mother. That's really what Cancer energy represents, the mother and nurturing. It is a sign ruled by the moon. The moon and the sun actually rule signs also, not just the other planets. And so Cancer is ruled by the moon. And the sign of Cancer is known for being emotional. It's a water sign. We got a very feminine vibe, very in tune with emotions. Water signs are always known to be intuitive and psychic. And it's like a mother's knowing, right? A mother always knows. There's like an inherent intuitive nature to a mother, and at summer solstice, of course, we're celebrating our Earth Mother, the time that we get to spend here on the planet, the sun. I mean, truly the reason why planet Earth and everything on planet Earth is so special, because we live in this perfect zone from the sun. We got the planets that are closer in and they're not habitable. It's too hot. The days are so much shorter, and it's hotter because they're closer to the sun. And then you've got the planets that are further out than Earth, and past Mars. It's way too cold. The days are much longer, and they're again, uninhabitable environments. And so we live in this Goldilocks zone here on Earth, and we celebrate that. We celebrate the sun and the fact that we have this relationship with the sun. And I was just about to call it an interdimensional relationship. And the reason why I am just going to go with that intuitive thought is because there is a portal that opens up between the sun and the earth every 8 minutes. It's true. Look it up. And this is a portal that opens up, and we have energy that's transmitted directly between the sun and the earth every 8 minutes. And this is beyond just the, normal transmission of like the UV rays, that we get off of the sun. This is beyond that. This is a portal that opens up, and we share energies. And no wonder why we are so affected by the sun. And there have been quite a lot of coronal mass ejections lately, the CMEs. This is also science. Look it up. Coronal mass ejections are extreme energetic, explosions, basically, that come off of the solar, what could, I guess, be called the solar floor, the solar layer, although it's just a huge gas ball. But out of that main region, you get these giant coronal mass ejections. And they have been attributed to all kinds of things within people. They've been attributed to like extra headaches, extra tension, and things like that. But also with electronics and the internet, that it causes disturbances also with these coronal mass ejections. So very interesting things to kind of look at as we're out there on the summer solstice, worshiping that amazing ball of gas that just keeps us going every day. This Cancer energy, the sun in Cancer. I mentioned that Cancer is ruled by the moon. And so we have kind of the opposite archetype. The moon is very feminine and the sun is very masculine. So as the sun is moving through Cancer, it's really an interesting time where there can be a lot of balance. You can find that when the sun is moving through Cancer, that it can calm down some of the extra emotional attributes that could exist in Cancer, that the sun, bringing some of that yin-yang energy, if Cancer is like probably the most yin sign of all the 12 signs of the zodiac and astrology, then the sun representing Leo is going to be like the super masculine, sun-ruled sign. And so, when we have the yin and the yang kind of hanging out together, that there can be a little more balance, a little more harmony, a little more opportunity, to have some of this illumination in a sign that's normally kind of a little more, likes to be a little more intimate, likes to be a little more to themselves. Cancers definitely love being home. They love being in the womb. The womb is the representation of Cancer. Cancer rules all of the feminine body parts. This is all of the feminine reproductive body parts. Aries rules the masculine reproductive parts. But Cancer rules the breasts, the mucous membranes, and the uterus, and all of that. So we're talking about Cancer being a sign where we go back to the womb. We go back home. And so Cancer people and people with big time Cancer energy love their home. They love the comfort of that safe space. 444444444 all over my clocks here. That's my favorite number here in the cosmic community. This is Stacy Dredd, your galactic ambassador, chatting the week's astrology. And I have a couple of fun items here in the studio with me today to celebrate the solstice just a little bit more because, we have to do that. And here at 444, I definitely feel compelled to get my singing bowl out and give you just a little taste of this here. Four hits there for the 444 hour. And I have a couple of tarot decks here. And I'm going to pull some cards at the end of the show also. So how are you going to celebrate the summer solstice? You're just going to hang out on the back patio until that sunlight is totally gone. And maybe you've never even thought about celebrating the summer solstice, but it's a good time to stop and do what the sun does. This is a turning point of the year. So we stop. We take stock of where we've been. What has the last 6 months been like for us? What have we manifested in our lives? What types of things were we setting our intentions on 6 months ago? How has that been going for you? Have you been able to have some success in regards to some of the things that you've done? Have you not really made time, for the things that you really had the goals set for? Now is the opportunity to see kind of what the last 6 months has done, and set intentions for the next 6 months. We have this full amount of sunlight. We have full illumination. We have full sun energy, just like beaming down on us. And how are we going to use this time? We can sit still over the solstice and then wait for this intuitive nature of the thin veils, to guide us. Wait for our spirit guides. Wait for our inner knowing, for that inner guide, to speak to you. Maybe you got to sit and bang on the singing bowl for a little while. Maybe you stare into a candle and put the intentions out there. Maybe you make yourself a crystal grid and stand inside of your crystal grid underneath that amazing full-bodied sun out there. So whatever way that you choose to do that is going to be totally perfect. And I've heard definitely that traveling to sacred sites is a good way to spend the solstice. So other energies that we have going on this week, obviously this is the big thing, but kind of adding in with the summer solstice, we also have a very fast-moving Mercury. Can I just stop and talk about a fast-moving Mercury for a second? Have anybody else out there, have you guys been feeling that complete psychic thing that's going on out there? I was mentioning last week that I really, truly felt that this fast-moving mind with Mercury and Gemini was going to cause some really psychic stuff, some really fast communications. Where the communications happen faster than you even realized that they needed to. The questions are kind of answered before you even ask the questions. And this has been really strong still for me over the weekend. And this fast-moving Mercury is coming into a square with Neptune over the weekend. This is happening on June 25th in the afternoon, 3:36 p.m. on the West Coast. But Mercury is our mind. Mercury is our thought process. Mercury is our mental state. This is also our communication, the way we communicate, our communication style. where Mercury sits in your own astrological birth chart, defines and shows you how your communication style, is going to be over your life. Where Mercury is in your birth chart, that is the, kind of the lens with which you communicate through. And so, Mercury squares are a challenging aspect. This is where we are learning a lesson, where we're kind of being blindsided by something maybe. And Neptune is the planet of spirituality, of spiritual guidance, but also of delusion and dissolvement and disillusionment. And so Neptune comes in for a square with this fast-moving Mercury this week, sort of confusing and kind of putting up a little bit of a brick wall, I feel like. So get your intuitive stuff in early in the week, because our little kind of intuitive brick wall may be coming up on over the weekend. And, it might not manifest that way for you. That's just kind of how I read the energy. But Mercury and Neptune together. Mercury is going to definitely be dissolved. Your communication is going to be dissolved into Neptune, right? So Neptune is like the ocean of all of our collective unconscious too. And so this is where, you can also have a really super heightened sense of this psychicness come through, of the intuitive knowing. And so this to me is either going to really, really heighten it for you, or it's going to make you feel like maybe you can't connect with your own intuition, or like you're trying so hard to connect with that, but that for some reason having a hard time. So that is definitely a definite change for Mercury in Gemini, wanting to be very efficient, wanting to get communications from here to there in like a linear fashion, wanting to be very charismatic and just, a good communicator. Mercury is in Gemini, but with this type of Neptune aspect coming in, the communication could get a little muddy. It could get a little you might not say the right things that you want to say. Like your mind may not be totally connected to what ends up coming out. So this is also a time to connect with creativity. If you're having a hard time communicating via words, that we can communicate in so many other ways. Neptune is a good time to when we have Neptune influences like this. I mean, this is time to reach in and to move into it, and to go with what feels creative, to go with what feels unexplainable, because that's all ruled by the planet of Neptune, and that will lead you in the end, to a good place spiritually. Things to look forward to for next week. We do have that quick moving Mercury moving into the sign of Cancer along with the sun, and then we have next week Neptune stationing retrograde, and so that is already a very slow-moving Neptune. Another reason why those two might be a little bit conflicting this week, because we have a really fast-moving mind with this really slow kind of dragging state of Neptune. So we'll talk more about that next week, but I wanted to do something a little special. I'm not actually a big tarot card, I'm not super knowledgeable about it, I wouldn't say, but I have my little books here, and we're just going to quickly give these cards a little audio cleanse here with the bowl. And of course, request a most benevolent outcome for messages that come through. Here with the cards, I was gifted Sacred Nature from a fellow DJ here, Dawn. Thank you so much for the cards. They're back in the studio doing their work. And so if we could have a card from the Sacred Nature Oracle deck pop out. And otherwise, I'm just going to do 4 shuffles and grab off the top one unless anyone wants to pop out special here. We've just got the top card. And that one is Innocence. And it's represented by the lupin, which is blooming in my yard right now. So that's cool. And it's number 39 in the deck here. So I've got the book in my hand that has a little description of what innocence means here. Lupin beans were cultivated over 2,000 years ago in the Mediterranean and Andes. They are high in protein, low in fat, and prebiotic, perfect for human and livestock consumption. I did not know that. In many parts of the world, native peoples prepared lupin beans by first soaking them in water to soften them up. The Romans used lupin seeds as fertilizer to improve poor soil conditions. Medicinally, lupin is used to help to nurture a healthy pregnancy, heart, and digestion. Symbolic of imagination, lupin helps open and nourish intuition and new ideas. You are being instructed to let go of the habitual thought patterns that keep you in an anxious state. Peace of mind is waiting for you. New pathways are opening inside you through your imagination and innocence. It's time to embrace the child within. The affirmation here for this card is, may I see through the eyes of a child. My innocent self trusts life and gives generously. Oh, yes, of course, the intuition coming in and all of the female, the Cancer, all of the reproductive organs came in there. So, wow, I feel like that card was perfect. And this is my traditional tarot deck next that sits on, well, both these have been on my altar. For a long time. But this is a traditional deck, and we'll just pull another card from the traditional tarot deck. Whoa, okay. 2 cards popped out. They're on the floor. Oh my goodness. Okay. We got the 2 of Cups inverted, and then we have the Devil inverted also. Is it called inverted? That's when they're upside down. I don't have time to read 2 cards, but the 2 of Cups has this amazing lion figure on top of it with wings coming out of it, and these 2 people with standing in front of each other, offering up these cups to each other. And then the Devil card, it's like it sounds. It's got the devil on it. And this to me is very much like an internal thing. Like when the cards are upside down, when they're inverted, when they're upside down like this, it's like inside, So I don't know, the devil's kind of dark, but we're talking about a shift in the year. And we're talking about shifts in ourself that we would like to take. And the devil is definitely one of those hefty energies that can help make those changes quickly and bring instant changes. So that is your reading for the week here in the Cosmic Community. Thank you so much for being tuned in, and I will talk to you next week. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.